Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, enjoy.
This YouTube channel is growing in subscribers. Yes, Ben. What is Retro Funhouse? Correct.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Retro Funhouse, and in this episode we're going to be looking at 5 game shows I enjoyed as a kid. Now, for me, a lot of the game shows I enjoyed as a kid were game shows from like the 1980s, or mid to late, more late 1980s, into the early 90s. So some of these shows even went from the late 80s to the 90s. So maybe some of these shows on my list you'll recognize, and maybe you enjoyed as well as a kid. So hope you enjoyed that little spoof I did of Jeopardy. Maybe that's on my list, maybe it's not, I don't know. I just thought Jeopardy was something fun to do to kind of start this episode. So let's get to 5 game shows I enjoyed as a kid. So at number 5 on my list was a game, Win, Lose, or Draw, which debuted from like 1987 to 1992 on NBC. I really enjoyed watching this show as a kid. This was a game show, of course, that people play at home nowadays, basically charades, where it's 2 teams compete against each other. And a lot of the times on the teams you would have the contestants which were trying to win the show, and they were teamed up with celebrities of that era of the 80s, 90s, mainly TV shows and stuff like that were on these shows, Win, Lose, or Draw. But if you ever watch Win, Lose, or Draw, it was really fun. I really enjoyed watching it, just the excitement and the fun and the hysteria that goes on with it when the one team is rapidly trying to figure out what one of their partners on the team is trying to draw and sketch out. And we play this occasionally at our house during holidays or family get-togethers, and it's a lot of fun, especially if you're not an artist or you don't know how to draw. Me, I'm not very good at drawing. I mean, even as a kid, I just kind of drew stick figures or just random things. But Win, Lose, or Draw is a fun game that you can easily play at home with your family, with your friends. All you need is, paper, pen, pencil, marker, whatever. But if you ever got to watch Win, Lose, or Draw, you can still watch them on YouTube as well. So Win, Lose, or Draw was a fun game. I actually went back and watched an episode of Win, Lose, or Draw on YouTube the other day, and it just brings back memories. Still fun to me. This is a game I wish they would bring back, honestly, to TV. I think it's still fun. So anyways, number 5, Win, Lose, or Draw. Let's get to number 4. Number 4, Funhouse. Now, Funhouse is not where the Retro Funhouse got its name, but it could easily be somewhere where we did get our name from, Retro Funhouse. The Funhouse show, which was a really fun show. If you watched this growing up, this was a show that came out in 1988 to I think 1991, somewhere around there. But I know it was in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember watching this vaguely. I did go back again and watch this show as well to get a refresher on it. Still fun. I still remember as a kid growing up wishing that I could be on this show with a friend of mine that I went to school with. We even created a Funhouse type game in my house, and it was fun. It was nothing like the show, but still we imagined like we were in the show. It did have the twin cheerleaders, which was Jackie and Sammy, I believe their name was. That they were in the show as well. The host, of course, J.D. Roth. If you remember that name, he was pretty big for kids when it came to game shows for kids. Also had the sidekick host with J.D. Roth. His name was Tiny. He kind of talked with the "Hey kids, what's going on?" He was a big guy, but it was still a great show. And it was basically like any game show. It was 2 teams, except these, Funhouse was 2 teams of 2 kids. Either they were friends or they were related in some way, and they competed in answering either questions or in challenges to gain points. And in Funhouse, which was, I believe it was Nickelodeon's way of countering what Double Dare had came out with. And they came out a little after Double Dare, and they were just kind of changing up what Double Dare did in a way. But it was the same thing, and at the end of, after you did challenges and answering questions, you had to do what they call the Grand Prix racing as a team to kind of run around a track and gather whatever points, but you also had to gather some random things that they told you to gather as you're going around the track, and they would, at the end, add up points to see which team had the most total points for the game, the most points after the Grand Prix racing, that team would get to go into the Funhouse. And the Funhouse, and there was all kinds of things in the Funhouse, all kinds of prizes and random toys. If you ever get a chance, go back and look, and you see some of the prizes that they were able to win. And today you're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, wow, you know. But then you got to remember that was that era. And I remember watching and seeing the prizes that they would win. I was always like, man, that'd be cool to have that. Especially when they got to win money, and even when they got to run through the actual Funhouse. You had like the shower area and the swamp, and you had like the mini doors. You went through one small door to a bigger, and you had to find the flags. And there was always like a mystery flag that you had to find that they didn't know about, that if you got it, you won like a grand prize vacation or something with you and your family. But if you never got to watch Funhouse, again, you can go on YouTube and look at Funhouse, and you can check out a Funhouse episode. That was my number 4, Funhouse, not Retro Funhouse, but hey, could have been a reason we became the Funhouse team. So again, number 4, Funhouse, great show, really enjoyed it. And number 3, Video Power. Video Power came out from 1990 to 92. Didn't last very long, but man, that was a great show, especially for gamers today. If you grew up in the era of Nintendo and and Sega Genesis was coming out, stuff like that. But Video Power with its host Johnny Arcade, who was not just the host, but he was also the guy that kids in the audience would ask questions to about random games, whether it was like Double Dragon, Battletoads, and what have you. Trying to stump Johnny Arcade, as you would ask him questions about certain games, and where would you find this, or what color was this item in this game, or what was it was just random questions that kids would ask Johnny Arcade to try and stump him. If you stumped him, you actually would win a prize. Also had Terry, who was a host when kids would kind of be competing against each other in the arcade playing. You play on the Nintendo systems, and you played against other competitors. He was kind of giving you the play-by-play and who's doing what, who's leading the game as of now. It was a really fun game. Any kid that got to answer or ask a question during the show also got to come down and participate. And it was usually 4 kids that would start, play a game, and then it would kind of break down for the best 2 with the highest score, would move on and compete against each other in questions in which they had, Johnny, if they got a question, Johnny Arcade would put the little, Velcro, like, I think it was like looking like a slice of pizza, would have points on it. And even some of the questions, if you got right, you'd get to win a game of a Nintendo game. That was really fun. And then at the end, they would add up. Whoever had the highest points then would get to go into the, which was the best part of the game or the show. You got to run around basically in the studio where you're already at, where they were playing and competing, but they turned it into this, you had like a minute, I believe it was, maybe longer, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I was wrong, but I think it was a minute. And you got to run around the little studio area of the show, and you had the Velcro jacket, and you just grab what you can, and as long as it stuck to your Velcro jacket, and you made it down the little tube slide, it came down, and if you were able to grab some of the random prizes they were saying, it was always all kinds of games you can grab and fun stuff you could get out of there. But that was a really good show. They even had a show, I think it was called The Power Team. It was a cartoon I think they showed somewhere in between that show. I could be wrong, but I remember seeing something like that. And if I'm wrong, let me know. But if I'm right, let me know. But anyways, Video Power was one of my favorites. That's why I got it at number 3, because I did, again, go back and rewatch that. And to me, it was like being a kid. It was super fun to see the shows again and enjoy them. And just reminiscing being a kid sitting in front of the TV and just watching it, being like, man, if I could be on that show, that would be so cool. So anyways, Video Power. Number 2, this was probably one of the harder choices for me when it came to my number 3, 2, and 1. Double Dare was, again, one of those shows that as a kid, man, I wish I could have been on that show. This show ran from 1986 to 1993, but it also came back on in like the year 2000. It came out again in came out in 2018 to 19, and it came out again in 2000. So it has had its comebacks. They also had spin-off shows like Double Dare 2000, I think it was called. Super Sloppy Double Dare, I think it was called. Family Double Dare, something like that. There was a lot of different spin-offs they did with Double Dare, but Double Dare, the original, when it first came out, was a great game. And again, similar to what I said with the Funhouse, Funhouse kind of came out after they seen the success of Double Dare, and Double Dare was it for me. I never missed a show of Double Dare, and I really enjoyed the show. Again, this was a show that a friend of mine, again, in our house, a buddy of mine, we would create these little obstacles to play, to run through, and call it our Double Dare. And we put random prizes or hide flags or whatever in the obstacle course. But it's the same concept like Funhouse was, when it was basically two teams of, two brothers and sisters or what have you, competing against another team of two. And same thing, you would answer questions, or you would go through physical challenges, they called it. But one was the cool thing was, if you didn't know the answer to a question, you could say, dare, and then the other team, if they didn't know, they could say double dare, and you had to take the physical challenge. So the physical challenges were always fun because they changed it up a lot. You knew you were going to get a bunch of slime or goop or water or what have you, just pour it all over. You were going to come out of the show pretty covered in what have you. Again, this was a show that was really fun. It really brings that memory of being a kid and enjoying just the fun and the laughter that came with that show, and just kind of like, oh gosh, I wanted to be on this show so bad. This was a great show for me, especially when I was like 8, 9. I thought I could do this show with ease, and it was one of those things that once one team won the actual competition against the other team, that's when you got to do the obstacle course. And the obstacle courses were always random things, but the one that stuck out to me the most was the one where it was the giant nose with the glasses, and they had the green slime. You had to stick your hands in the nose, and you had to look for that flag and pull it out. That was the only way one person on the team could get the other person to move on to the next obstacle. You had to find the flag, pass it on to your other partner or what have you, and then that partner would go to the next obstacle. And I think you had, again, either 30 seconds or 60 seconds. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment. I could be wrong. But it was that one. It was the one, I think there was one that was on the floor. It looked like a pizza, and you had to kind of dig around and find the flag. But it was always about finding those flags to finish the obstacle before you ran out of time to win all these great prizes. But Double Dare was a great show. It was also a show that was hosted by Mark Summers. If you remember Mark Summers, he actually did, when they did the most recent Double Dare, I think it was in 28. I think he was in all of them, or he was a part of all of them. But again, that was another one of those game show hosts that was a big part of my childhood that I really enjoy. So Double Dare, I dare you to go back and watch Double Dare on YouTube. And number one, again, like I said, my top 3 were so close, but American Gladiators was insane when it came out for me. I thought Double Dare and Funhouse and all those were great game shows for me as a kid. But something about American Gladiators and seeing the gladiators like Laser and Zap and Hawk, Turbo. Nitro was my favorite. I always thought Nitro was a great character in there. Gemini, Diamond, and Blaze, and they had a lot of male and female gladiators, and it was a great show because you got to see the athleticism and the stamina of just random amateur type athletes who would come out to compete and try to win in these games. And the games were always fun. They tried to mix up, I think, as often as they could, but there were certain games that I really enjoyed watching, like Powerball, which is kind of like football/basketball. You start off when they blow the whistle and you take the ball and you're trying to get past the gladiator and put it in this little hoop type thing, whatever. And it was Assault. Assault was one of my favorites as well. When you're starting out one section and you got to run to one station, and you got to pick up it's like an air cannon and shoot like a tennis ball to try and hit this giant target where the gladiator's at, and they're sitting behind this big old contraption that shoots, I'm pretty sure it was tennis balls. I'm sure it was tennis balls. But they would shoot at you. If you got hit by the tennis ball, as you were trying to run from one station to another, you were automatically out and the gladiator wins. But even if you didn't hit the gladiator from the first station, you would go to another station where it was like a handgun, air gun type thing, or you would have one station where it was like three tennis balls, and you just had to toss them trying to hit that bullseye. But if you couldn't get that, then you had to basically run past them, and you would basically win regardless, as long as you could not get hit or hit the bullseye. But you had that time limit as well. So there was also like Hang Tough, the Wall. There was Joust, where they would joust each other, and it was a really, really physical game. For me as a kid, I thought the gladiators were like superheroes. I mean, to me, they were like these superhuman being type people. I mean, they were on there, and they were very athletic, very strong. You know, a lot of times they manhandle some of these amateur athletes, but it was seeing when they got to the very end of the show, and you went to, I think it was called the Eliminator. That was a fun obstacle course with the zip line, and when you had to get right to the end to finish the race, and you had to bust through a wall, and once you got through the wall, you were clear to go, and you just go straight to the finish, or there was a gladiator there with a pad, basically to stop you. And I've seen some of I went back and watched some of these, and just to see some of the action. I mean, American Gladiators, I think, is a show that should come back. What do you think? I think American Gladiators, people would still watch it because it was a physical, fun game. The games that they competed in was awesome. And I could see this game show coming back. I wish they would bring back American Gladiators. I know there's some show, I think there was a show that came out that The Rock did, I forgot what it was called, but it was something like that. But American Gladiators was the show for me growing up. So guys, again, that's my top 5 game shows growing up as a kid. I hope you enjoyed this little look at it. Stay tuned, guys, we got some more stuff. Actually going to be doing I'm looking at doing a giveaway on my show here on YouTube. So stay tuned. Let me know in the comments if you think I should. I've got a 1999 electronic Pokemon pinball machine. Works good. And I got it for free. Fixed it up. So I'm thinking about giving that away to one of our viewers. Let me know in the comments or wherever you see this video what you think. Think that's a good idea. I'm also going to be working on getting some shirts and giving some shirts out as well. So guys, again, thank you. We are 100% family friendly, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We're going to be on the game hunt again. There's a lot of games we're going to be out looking for. I've got a bunch of games I haven't shown on any videos lately. I need to do that. You can see behind me I've been working more on my gaming area. Got my man Grogu here behind me. So again, guys, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, join us, Funhouse. Retro Funhouse.